Hi guys, if you're new here, my name is Julia. I talk about content around personal development, growing your money, growing your business, and just growing yourself overall. So if that interests you, kindly don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I am going to title this video in the lines of wilderness, isolation, and ascending to your greatness. So I'm gonna create the title around that. Okay, something is not happening the way you want to happen. Okay, so there's this part of your life, then there's this part of your life that God has promised you, because there are so many promises in the Bible as to what God wants for you and the dominion you have over everything that we have around us. Okay, so the question is, how do you get from where you are to where you want to go, right? So that is the $1,000,000 question of how do you bridge where you are to where you want to go. Okay, so guys, let me say this. I mentioned this, I think, in another video where I said when the children of Israel were being delivered by Moses from the land of Egypt to the land of the promised land, okay, they went through the wilderness. Okay, they went and they stayed in the wilderness for 40 years, right? That is according to the book of Exodus. So you can just take time and just go and read about the book of Exodus, right? So when they were going from, so they cried to God, and they cried to God, and God had them and sent Moses to go and deliver them from the hand of Pharaoh, okay, from the land of Egypt, to take them to the promised land. What he forgot to tell them, or what I feel like God forgets to tell us, is you're here, I'm going to take you here, but guess what? There's gonna be a wilderness in between where you are and where you want to go. Okay, and if you're not careful in this stage, where this stage of wilderness, this where that God does not tell you exactly that, my daughter, I'm gonna make you get to where you want to go, but there's a section you have to go through which is not normally talked about before you go to the land that I have promised you. So now guys, so because we know there's a wilderness between the life that you have and the life that you want, that's what I want to talk about, because I feel like the reason why we stay in the wilderness, and when I say wilderness now you understand, it's just a phase, the transitional phase of your life, is because of so many reasons. Okay, the place of wilderness, this place of wilderness the place that you keep questioning yourself, why am I still stuck? Why am I not getting to where I think I want to go? Why do I feel like I'm in this place where I can't even explain myself? That's what I'm talking about, right? Like, we need to figure out that as much as God has promised you promised land, there's a season and there's a place in your life that will look like wilderness, right? A place where you have left what you know, and you want to transition to another life, but there's a space in between that will either determine if you go to the promised land or you stay in the wilderness. This is my thought process, right? That, you say a changed mindset. That is the only place where you can change your mind is in the place of wilderness. So you decide 2025 is going to be my year, right? That's what you've decided. And you say, I'm going to make stride. And you set up your vision for 2025, and you set up your goals for 2025. And now you say, I'm never going to do this again. So that's where this is a decision you're making, because I can hope, because it's December, some of you are making 2025 vision boards, and they're creating goals, and they're just praying to God to reveal to them what they need to do moving to the next year, right? So that's the transition, right? Now you've decided, I do not want to stay on this side anymore. I feel like this is not serving my life. This is not where I want to be, and I want to be this other side. So this is where now the difference between you and the people who are sent to the greatness is the place of wilderness. So this is where you have to change your mindset, guys. I'm gonna say this, a changed mindset, because if this mindset was not serving you in Egypt, you have to change your mind. You have to ask yourself questions that can make you see things from a different perspective, because you can't say I want to transition to this, but your mindset is still in Egypt. Your mindset is still, if whatever mindset you had for the longest time and it has not served you, for you to continue to have the same mindset and it has not served you for that long, then I feel like you're gonna be stuck in the wilderness for so long. So the place of wilderness is where you change your mind, you change how you see things, you start questioning things, you start asking yourself, so why do I do the things that I do? Why am I still in bondage to my own doing, bondage of my own? I have created this bondage for myself, right? Because I feel like at the end of the day, let's talk about this. Like, there's a bondage that you've created for yourself, okay? So this is where you question and you change your mind. But do you know, changing your mind is not something that you just wake up and think that you're going to change your mind. Yeah? Because a changed mind means there is an ascending of, an ascending of your thought process, an ascending of how you look at life, and just descending to levels. But this means that you have to put in work, right? In any way, if you want to move from here to this side, there is work here which most people don't want to do. Okay, so this is, let me tell you, the children of Israel, when they left Egypt and they were going to the promised land of Canaan, I feel they stayed in the wilderness for so long because God wanted to change their mindset of slavery. Because they already left Egypt with a certain mindset. They were not going to use the same mindset to go to the land of Canaan. You're going to go there, but you have to change your mind, because you've come with a slavery mindset, and a slavery mindset cannot be the same mindset of a king. I have promised you, I'm going to give you this land. I have promised you, you have dominion over everything. That's a kingship mindset. That's a mindset that is different than a slavery mindset, right? Okay? So if you've left Egypt and you have a slavery mindset and you want to go to the promised land, the wilderness is where you work on your mindset and you shed the slavery mindset. You shed what that has not served you in Egypt. Yeah? They used to get instruction and they used to be told what to do. And there was a certain program. They were programmed to do certain things in Egypt. Okay? They cannot move from Egypt with a slavery mindset to come and take dominion in Canaan. Impossible, right? So this is where you work on your mindset, reading books, doing the deeper work, doing the shadow work of who you are. Because let me tell you one thing I've come to learn. As much as we say change your mind, change your mindset, change how you look at things, it has to be an internal thing, because everything internal reflects on the external. Your environment is a dictation of your internal being. Like, what is reflected outside is what resides inside of you. So if you want to change your environment, you have to change what is inside of you, so that what is inside of you can reflect what is outside, so that you can enjoy the things that you want to enjoy. Okay? So the mindset, you have to be determined to shed the slavery mindset so that you can acquire kingship mindset, to be able to run in whatever aspect of that stage. Okay? And I told you guys, let me tell you, I say this over and over again. If there are people I admire completely, like I look at them and I'm just in this belief, is the athletes of Kenya. Like they are the people who run in Kenya. These guys, you guys, have you ever questioned yourself? These guys, they run when it's raining, they run when it's hot, like really, really hot. And I'm saying not hot of this Nairobi where it's the temperature are cool. Like the temperatures are really harsh. They never take a day off. They never say, because I woke up having a headache, I'm not going to run, I'm not going to go to the track. They never say, because I don't know what happened, I feel some sort of way and I have a certain mood today and I'm not going to go to the track. For them, rain or sunshine, they have to run every single day. So for you to leave your comfort zone and decide to take up the kingship mentality, there's some things you have to be determined. Come rain, come sunshine, come winter, come storm, I am not going to be relentless in me being able to do that thing regardless of what is happening around me. Because let me tell you, Something also, your mind will, I told you, your mind will want to be in a comfortable place where you feel like you're comforted, right? So when it starts raining, what do we say? I'm not going to go to church because it's raining. Oh, I'm not going to go to a certain place because this is happening. Wilderness is where you shade. This is the now this is what I'm thinking. The wilderness is the battlefield. The wilderness is the track of the athlete. The wilderness is where you're now closing the doors, you're shutting your windows, and you're working on your inside, you're working on your mind, right? So that you can be able to enjoy the things that God has promised you, right? So God kept them in the wilderness so that they can shade the slavery mindset, so that they can be able to go to the land of Canaan and take over the land of Canaan. If you read, the people who were able to go to the land of Canaan, they were going to actually push people who were already residing in Canaan out of Canaan so that they can occupy the land. Do you think they could have done that if they left with the same slavery mindset, where they were used to know they were master, like they were slavery and there was a master, and they were, how could they have the ability to push people out of their own land if it was not a kingship mentality, right? So that's what I'm saying. You have to break down your slavery mentality, and this is the training ground for you to shed off that slavery mindset. Okay, a place of wilderness is where you're going to die to yourself, sweethearts. You feel it, you don't feel like it, you feel like doing it, you don't feel like doing it. We try to preserve ourselves, we try to do things that only feel comfortable to us, but that is to say that you'll never try to do anything apart from what you know, what feels comfortable. So the place of wilderness is where you die to yourself, so that you don't listen, you no longer, not that you don't obey what you feel. That's a different thing altogether. This is where you now die to that thing that has been keeping you in the land of Egypt, right? Another thing is, in the place of wilderness is where you're going to take full responsibility for how you have lived your life so far, right? You know, I keep saying this, one of the greatest thing is that in any situation, you look at how you have contributed to that situation. No situation comes into your life where you have no part that you've played in that situation. Even if you feel like they're taking advantage of you, you have played a part in allowing them to take advantage of you. If you feel like, whatever feeling you have about that situation, there's a part that you have played, and then you have to take responsibility. This is where now you analyze what is your responsibility in how you've been living your life. This is how take the full responsibility as to how you got where you got, right? Because not unless you work on facing the responsibilities of where your life is and why you feel stuck and why you feel like nothing is moving, you will you keep blaming your parents. You keep, because I came from poverty. But you're 30. You're still talking about your parents, that because you came from poverty, because you were raised in poverty. In your 40s, are we having this conversation in our 40s that we were raised in poverty? Are we having this conversation that our parents never took us back to school, so this is the reason why you're stuck? If you were 20, I could probably give you some slack and say you have time to do whatever you need to do. But if you're in your 30s and if you're in your 40s, there is a responsibility that you have to take. And I'm not saying this as much as I'm talking about this way. I'm just saying, I'm not coming from a judgmental place of and I say, let me back it up. Not unless you're sick, or you the way we said, you're not capable, your body and your mind, you're not fully capable, or you've been in the hospital for the last decade. Please guys, let's be realistic about some things. We cannot blame some things on other people, because there are people who've been in and out of the hospital because of a certain condition. No, I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about where God has given you the strength in your body, a sound mind, right? You're capable, you're able-bodied to do certain things. So you can't stand here and say the reason why I am suffering is because my parents never took me to university. but you had an opportunity to go back to school. You had an opportunity to do, like, there's a certain place where it gets to, now it's your responsibility how your life goes forward. Like, there's a certain place where your parents, what they did, what they did not do, stop being their responsibility. Now it's what is your responsibility in moving your life forward? That's what I'm talking about. This is where now you call yourself for a meeting, guys, and talk about what is your responsibility in you being stuck before you blame other people. Because in the book of Exodus, chapter 17, verse 7, let me start from verse 6, okay? Behold, I will stand before you there on the rock at Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and the water shall come out of it, and the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel, and he called the name of the name of the place Massa and Meribah, because of the fault finding of the children of Israel, and because they put the Lord to the proof by saying, is the Lord among us or not? Is the Lord among us or not? Can you imagine, guys? Even with the miracle that Moses was able to perform, because God had given him the ability to perform the miracles, moving from the land of Egypt, even with what God providing for them manna every day, like they never slept hungry, in the sense of like God provided in the wilderness. Just put it in your mind, in the wilderness nothing grows, in the wilderness there is no water, but God made sure there was full provision for them. They still questioned if God was with them in the wilderness, right? So they kept finding fault. And if you read the book of Exodus, you know how ungrateful we are as human beings. We are just so ungrateful. Regardless of what God is doing in your life, you keep finding fault. You keep saying, you know, I'm here because of my boss. I'm here because my dad did this. I'm here because my husband did this. I'm here because my friend did this. At what point do you take responsibility moving forward for your own life now? At what point do you stop now looking at someone did this and what was my responsibility in my own life to get me to this place, right? That's what I'm talking about. Like even the children of Israel kept finding fault regardless of what God had done to them, right? So in the place of wilderness is where you will be tested in terms of obedience, okay? Let me just say this, guys. So you want to do something, like you've been praying to probably open a school. I'm not sure what you've been praying for, but you've been praying for something, right? So you've been praying, you want to open a school, you've been praying, I want to do something, like you've really been praying. Now, here is the shocking part. The Holy Spirit deposits it in your heart that it's time for you to open the school, right? But you still don't open the school. And the funny thing is, you went to God and prayed about that thing. And now when it's ready and it's ripened in your heart, you can feel it. Not as you can feel it in your heart that this situation is ripened for me to now go ahead and open the school, you back out off. Let me tell you, the same way the children of Israel were complaining, oh, God has forsaken us in Egypt. Oh, God, please come and deliver us. And when they were being delivered, they start complaining. So you go to God. You fast and pray. You pray about something. You tell your friends and your family member to pray about something, and they pray about that thing. And good enough, God answers it to you. And now because God has answered, and now it's written in your heart, you know in your gut that this is the right time for me to make this move. You back off. Let me tell you something I learned: delayed disobedient is disobedient. If it's time for you to move, the longer you stay there, you're just being disobedient. You're just being disobedient. Please move. In the place of wilderness where God is going to take you through, in a place where there is no water and there is no bread and there is no shelter, if He told you, I'm going to be with you, believe me, you're going to go through wilderness. But also believe me when I tell you, in the wilderness, He will provide your rent. He will provide food. He will provide school fees for your kids. You will be shocked if you just be obedient to doing the thing that God has deposited in your heart. Because some of those things, even it's you who went to go to pray about, and now he's answered, and now you don't want to do it. Okay? So this is a place where you learn how to be obedient to God, to trust God, that how am I going to be able to do this? To trust God, like, am I even going to be able to do this? This is where now you sit and trust God fully, that I believe and trust. If God tells me to move, he will take care of me. He will take care of the things that I'm concerned about, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, he will still take care of you because he's answered the prayer. So if he's answered for you the prayer, it means he knows how he's going to take you, carry through the wilderness for you to get to that promised land. But there has to be a wilderness in that season. There will be a wilderness where probably your friends will fall off, your family will desert you, people will not understand what you're doing, they will think you're crazy. But because you learn to obey and to just stay and allow God to, if he speaks, then you do. Because you know, even if you don't know how you're going to survive that season, he will still take care of you, right? So this is I feel like this is where now you're tested to now learn how to obey God, and how to just, you know, avail yourself to God. Let me say also, in the place of wilderness, lonely place that you'll ever be, right? The way I've said, there's no buildings. So when I was trying to think about wilderness, I was just thinking of Dubai. In my mind, I was thinking the way Dubai has wilderness, like it has like desert, and then it has all these skyscrapers, it has these lightings. Like if Dubai is both Canaan and wilderness at the same time. I don't know, I'm just using this as an example. Guys, I've never been to wilderness or Canaan. So I was thinking in my mind, like this is, in my mind I'm thinking, if God was taking the children of Israel to the promised land and they had left Egypt. So for example, Egypt was like Dubai, you know, the modern Dubai, the lights, the chandeliers, the malls, it has everything. And then God tells you, leave this comfort and go to the desert. Right? So go to the desert. So you're going to pass through desert to go to the other side. But you can imagine where you're coming from. The streets have lights. You have people walking around. You have buildings. You have everything. Flashy cars, whatever it is. And now you have to go through, to leave that, to go through the desert to get to the other side, right? So that's what in my mind, that's what I'm thinking. Like these children of Israel had a hard time to be able to obey God because they saw where they were coming from, and then they were here going through, there was no light, because he said he light their path he light their path at night, and during the day he covered the cloud. Because I suspect in my mind that the wilderness was very hot, like degrees, it was so hot. So he used to put cloud over them during the day, and then he will put a light to help them pass through the night. You know, I'm just here and my mind is just blown away by the fact that he really took care of them. It's just that they never allowed themselves to actually be in that mindset of, yes, we left this, but can you imagine what God is doing in my life? Like, so I feel like in most cases what we tend to do is we tend to look at where we have come from, the comfort of our place, the comfort of the lights, the comfort of the car, the comfort of the street lights, the comfort of the building, the comfort of just, you know, the party nights, the comfort of the daylight. You know, like it's like people are having a wonderful time, and then to go through the desert, and now there's no building, there's no cars, there's no houses, there's no shelter, there's nothing. And now you have to also trust God that He's going to provide for you day in, day out. Because in the land of wilderness, what happened, He used to provide for them manna, not to keep for the next day, but to only eat what they can be able to eat for that particular day. So now if God takes you through wilderness where He says, I'm going to take care of you, it means sometimes that you not have money in your bank account as a safety net. You might not have the house that you're used to living. You might not have the things, the luxuries that you deem as important, but not to say that He will not take care of you. It's just that you've refused to see how God is taking care of you away from what you're used to taking care of yourself. Right? So because it's not the same, so now you feel like God is not here. But that's why let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a season in your life where you're just thinking, where am I going to get rent? So you don't have money, but you just say, let it be. Like, I'm not going to stay here. I'm not going to even put my mind there. Like, let it be the way it's gonna be. And then the day before the rent is due, I promise you, something happens. I'm not going to cry. Am I going to cry? No, I'm not going to cry. Where? You. So, the day before the day for the rent, and something happens. Something, like you can't even, you just like, and then something shows up. Like just something shows up. You can't even try, you can't even explain to anybody how you're able to pay rent month in, month out without having a stable income. You're not able to explain yourself how your kids are still going to school. You're not able to explain to people how you have a meal every day because apparently someone decided to check up on you and they brought for you a shopping that you had not anticipated. You can't explain how people send for you clothes. They say, hi, I was thinking about my daughter has overgrown some of these dresses and I was thinking about someone and I thought about you. Guys, can you imagine? He's still taking care of you. It's just that he's not taking care of you the way you're used to, having the money to go and buy, having the money to pay your rent, having the money to take care of your kids. You go to school, you find, oh, you know what? Someone decided to have to donate some money, and we've chosen your daughter or your son to be one of the people who are going to benefit the whole year for this school fees. I can't say enough. I cannot say enough.